We are demanding that Amazon recognize the rights of its employees to speak out publicly about these issues, and that Amazon gives its employees a say in the political spending and political decision-making of this company. We're calling for a public meeting of Amazon executive leadership, Amazon employees, and community members to discuss the unacceptable role the company has played in this year's elections and to chart a new path forward for our city.
We're going to be unapologetically standing up for candidates who will stand with workers. We know it's good for the economy, it's good for our health, and frankly, it's good for the entire country to stand up and fight back. We're the city that passed paid sick and safe leave, the second in the nation, and now, guess what? It is the law of the state because we proved right here in Seattle it worked. Right here in Seattle, you all passed democracy vouchers to make sure that every voter has a voice, and not just billionaires writing million-dollar checks. You wanted your voice to count, and that's what this election is all about.
Next year, I will introduce a bill that will fundamentally change our elections to prioritize people, not corporations, to make sure that we understand as we head into a mayoral election in 2021 that we are prioritizing people and not corporate-backed elected officials or corporate candidates in the next races. This is a massively important moment for our city, folks. We need to make sure that we make really clear that what we are talking about here is fundamentally prohibiting corporate interest from seeping into and buying our local elections.
So once again, whose city?
Our city!
That's right. All right. And Jeff, like, he wants to show that he can colonize the moon while the city of Seattle has a housing affordability crisis, has an unhoused people crisis. What is that? It's no bueno, that's what it is. And so that's why we need to show that this is our city. Once again, whose city?
Our city!
All right. So now we have to show that we have the power. The power comes from us, the people. From us putting our feet on the ground, knocking on doors, and saying that we stand for a campaign that is not run by corporate dollars. We stand for candidates who are not run by corporate dollars. We stand for the people. Our power comes from the blood that runs through us, not from the dollars in our pockets, all right? Whose city?
Our city!
Carry out a hostile corporate takeover of City Hall. As someone said, Seattle is a test lab as far as the billionaires are concerned. If we allow them to buy this year's election, it will not stop here. They are trying to see what they can get away with. And that is why it has been so critical that national leaders like Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, former Labor Secretary Robert Reich, have all stood with us and have made crystal clear that what happens in Seattle's elections matters to the rest of the country. And if we want to go in a progressive direction and not allow the status quo of inequality and the domination of the 0.01% to continue, then it matters who gets elected this year in Seattle.
And they think that buying a city council will allow them to dominate those decision-making processes. There is an imbalance of power in this city. That's the problem. The imbalance of power. I'm running to represent a district where for years, for decades, the folks who have not had a voice in this city are the workers, the immigrants, our black and brown neighbors, the people living in poverty in this city. That's the imbalance that candidates like me and other progressive candidates are trying to correct.
We understand that the way to beat big money is with a big movement, and we go out and we see a lot of these signs that talk about, in this city we believe, you know how it goes, Black Lives Matter, what is the other one? Science is real. So what we have to tell everybody before this world stage is that this election cycle is about Seattle's opportunity to live up to the ideals that it puts down on paper and that it puts down on yard signs, as it turns out. If Black Lives actually matter, then we need to get a police force that's out from under federal investigation, and we need to end racist policing in the city. That's right. If women's rights are human rights, then we need to loosen some of these zoning restrictions that we see that make it illegal to build childcare facilities and exacerbate the stressors that are on a lot of working moms, especially in my district, where there are a lot of people who are paying as much for childcare per month as they are for rent. We need to end that. If love is love, then what we need to do is actually house the 22% of young people in King County who are LGBTQIA+ folks. That's not right for a city to have as large an unhoused population as we have, and also to have that unhoused population disproportionately represent some of the most vulnerable communities in our city. And if science is real, then we need to support candidates that are actually going to stand up for sound transit, for the Move Seattle levy, for a Seattle Green New Deal. The last one on that sign is kindness and everything. Kindness is everything. Isn't that what it says? If kindness is everything, then what we need to be doing is taxing some of the biggest corporations and biggest mega developers in our city to actually pay for supportive housing, to actually pay for mental health services, to pay for safe injection sites, to pay for law enforcement assisted diversion, so we're not relying on an overly aggressive and racist police force in the city.